this work session of the Enterprise City Council to order. Mr. Telos, you got a Q3 goal update for us?
Yes, sir. Mayor and council, under Q3 goals, comprehensive plan. You know, as we read that, I want to reiterate that that's complete. It is complete. You approved it, the comprehensive plan. I think what we really are talking about there is the zoning and subdivision ordinance there. So we might want to make a revision to that goal to be more specific to that. The budget for the public transportation, we have our budget hearings on the 29th. So we plan to include the public transportation piece along with all of our other budget requests in that. So that'll be up to you to give us the green light to move forward with that on the 29th. The onboarding, that's also pending budget review. That, if you recall, we plan to do onboarding and then performance on the next FY. 5-year capital plan, we had I put on here all but one department was complete with that. One of the issues that that department without I'll call it out to defend it a little bit. Struggling with the rec center in particular, and once post-construction happens, which budget year we want to make the hires in. Some of those hires are going to have to be made in FY24, even though the rec center won't be open, to get them trained up in order to open it in FY25. So we're struggling with a couple of little things on that process. So that's when it says all but one department on there. I want you to understand that there's a reason behind that. The wayfind.
No reason to think we can't get that done this quarter.
We can get that done this quarter. It'll be done. Good. It's on track. I didn't want you to think that there were any significant issues or people weren't being responsive with the budget process. We had internal deadlines, and so that it's running a little behind our internal deadline.
Gotcha.
So on the wayfinding signage, we expect that to be complete this month, fully, with a plan and schedule on, proposed schedule anyway. And we can talk about whether or not that gets worked into future year budgets. The redevelopment authority, I'm looking at the August 15th work session to be able to talk to you about what that would look like for the city. I think the city attorney has already kind of briefed you on, what that looks like. Whether or not there's any benefit to standing that up with the powers or not, I think is really the question at this point. The fire chief continues, he said, at least one stakeholder meeting, reference to downtown early warning measures. Continue to update that. See no reason that's not on track for this quarter. And then the phase 2 PV Park project. I want to look at 10 and 11, and as we talk about the budget, one of the things that I want the council to understand is as we've been monitoring, our sales tax collections and other revenue sources, we continue to see some downward trends over the last couple of months. So we will budget, and you'll see the 5-year plan, and there's going to be probably some sticker shock when you see kind of what needs to be done. And so there may be some hard decisions that need to be made. So I think, bidding those are fine, and budgeting for sidewalks are fine. You may not find that they're the most pressing issue, though, that we need to spend money on in next year or future year budgets. So, when we say budget approximately $325,000 for sidewalks in FY24, that's not going to be an issue. We'll budget whatever you approve, obviously, but you may find that we have more needs than we have resources when you first look at the budget. So we're gonna have some hard decisions to make, and I want to prep you for that now, even though we don't have all the numbers in. I have enough to at least tell you that. The Public Building Authority under construction, you authorized the mayor to execute that agreement. So we look like we're on track for that. We still anticipate construction to start in October. In fact, they've been through the facility. Contractors been through the facility already a few times to look at what needs to be done. We're finalizing some of our movement plans for personnel within City Hall. And I think everybody's looking forward to that that happening in all departments.
What would the first phase be?
So right now, 75% roughly of City Hall would be under construction in phase one. And that phase one would be all of downstairs. It'd be renovated for the police department. And then basically everything in the middle, if you look at City Hall being that we're in one wing and then the finance and water departments are in another wing, be everything in between both of those wings. So that would be pretty good muscle movement. Once that, the plan would be once that is done upstairs as well, that people would move back into those areas. And so we would literally shift like the water counter into the new water department home, the revenue office into the new so they wouldn't have as far to move potentially. And we'd be setting up space for them to go to work. So that part would be open to the public.
Remind us when we'll be displaced in here.
So roughly the same time.
October.
Thereabouts, October, November at the latest. So we're making final adjustments and anticipate sometime over the next 60 days to have you come in and test out the equipment at the Civic Center, the desks and things that we ordered, and make sure that it works to your satisfaction. I know we talked about a little bit of the fishbowl effect and the echo that was in there. We think that's addressed. The projectors are installed that are there. There's one rear facing that you'd be able to see from the stage, and then there'd be the three that are still there for the public to see. So we think we've got a workable solution for you there, but that would be probably October, November timeframe as well. Go ahead and move everything out while we're handling this. Let's see, and I probably misspoke. This area in the magistrate's office and the jail would also be part of that phase one. The mayor's office and the finance area would be the two that wouldn't be under the phase one. Wastewater treatment plant consultant selected. We have the RFPs out. When we get those in and graded, we'll come up with a selection. Pickleball is under construction. I looked on the front page of the paper today, and I saw an article about it, but I've driven past it as well. It looks good to see that turning dirt. I know there's some happy pickleballers in the community that are anxiously anticipating that moving forward. Spec building at the airport under construction. I expect the design or that to be under construction this quarter. Transportation plan. We have a proposal, I think, in your packet, and you'll see it says Sane Associates on there.
Second thing in your packet.
So that proposal, really, I'd like to talk more about this in executive session under real estate, but the bottom line is it looked like estimated budget $50,000 to get you to that next phase for a decision point about which route to select and then go from there into like preliminary, whether it was land acquisition, design of the road, preliminary cost and budget for a road if one of those routes were selected. And then we have the go live with the city website and app. If I think you all got an email from Emily in the last week or so that talked about the new website that is live, went live on Wednesday. As we find glitches or things that need to be improved, we continue to make those modifications and take that feedback and input. So we understand it's not 100% perfect right now, and we continue to find some things to tweak or add to it. I think what we have found, though, is it's a lot easier under this new platform to make those edits and changes than it was in the past. So that's a benefit for the staff. So when you say, hey, we would like this on the website, we can do it in a matter of minutes now. And it was taking us at times days or weeks. And I think, not too long ago, you even made mention of things that were there for months at a time. So this is more interactive with our social media accounts, updates the news feed, And then the app, we think in the next 30 days, we'll be able to go live with some version of the app as well. Business license fixes, again, that's something that we're working on. I think definitely this quarter we can be prepared with some recommendations for you to adopt if you choose to. I think one of them definitely needs to be done under the Schedule R, but that there's really no impact until next January, February time frame when new business licenses are coming in.
All right. Any questions on our Q3 updates? All right. We will move on to the next item, which is review the agenda. So if you will turn with me. The larger packet. Did we get that agenda item added, Jonathan Beverly? Do you know what I'm talking about? Obviously not, then. I'm trying to remember what it was Jonathan and I discussed this afternoon. Well, we'll wait for them to finish. We'll go ahead and discuss. So we'll obviously start with roll call, opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, and approve the agenda. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda, which involves work session minutes from July 5th, work session minutes from July 18th, council meeting minutes of July 18th, accounts payable A for city and water board, accounts payable B for water board, contract billings from CC and Litchfield for the Recreation and Aquatic Center, KPS Group for the contract planning services, and the zoning map, then travel requests from tourism. Any concerns on the consent agenda? All right, then we will move on to the permit request, which I've heard from two of you before. So, Greg, why don't you give me your thoughts on this permit request? You're recommending that we table that?
I'm mainly recommending we table it to allow the mayor to have an opportunity to see if we can work on the time on that, being that it is the Saturday before Father's Day. It's unfortunate that we have that coinciding on the same day. I'd like to see this parade be, I've attended both of the last 2 years. I'd like to see it be bigger and better, but also know that Saturday before a holiday sometimes can be conflicting with the businesses that, because our ordinance requires the street to be shut down, was it an hour before, an hour after? Right. And so now you've got at least a 3-hour window that it's shut down right before right during a potential major shopping day. I know I've heard from a number of the downtown businesses that had mentioned that even moving it just to 10 o'clock from 12 o'clock would be great, but that's not my decision to make. Just would like to, we got plenty of time to approve this and make it happen. So just wondering about maybe we could allow that conversation to happen. Mayor's turn.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Mr. President, in talking to some of the merchants as well as some of the people involved, I would like to ask the council if you would maybe table this for 2 weeks so that we can get together with the group at John's Chapel and
Okay.
with the merchants out, that we can kind of work out how, not trying to change the date, nothing of that sort, but to get a better understanding of trying to make sure that we have people downtown doing that kind of shopping or whatever. Just doing something just a little different, but not changing, the parade or anything.
I think that's exactly what I was asking for.
Everybody okay with tabling that? All right, we will. We won't technically table it. We'll do is we'll just remove it from the agenda, and then y'all can bring it back to us. We won't even consider it tonight. So then we'll have privilege of the floor. Jonathan, what was the item we were going to add to the agenda? You and I discussed. I'm drawing a blank.
We can actually wait. I checked. We have a FAA grant, and the deadline actually goes until the 28th of August.
Okay.
So we'll have time to do it at the next council meeting.
All right. forget I said anything. All right, old business, public hearing, consideration of ordinance for the Smith rezone, which is ordinance 070523, rezoning 0.41 acres of land owned by Shane Smith from B2 to R65, located at 218 East Lee Street. Thomas, anything we need to know about this before the hearing?
So, council, this is just a residential property that has been a home for its entire existence. It got rezoned to B2 in the last zoning map, probably updated 15 years ago or so. And according to our ordinance, if it was to ever be burnt down or lost or anything like that due to like a fire or natural disaster or something like that, they would not be able to rebuild where they were at. So they're requesting this rezone so that way that if anything ever happens to the house, they can rebuild the house back in that area.
We expect any opposition?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions about this rezone? All right, there's another rezone right after this, Pecan Grove Development, which is 070523A, 3.18 acres of land from R65 to R75A, which is more of an apartment type designation. So tell us about that.
Yes, sir. So the land that is wanting to be rezoned is actually where the apartment buildings next to Castle Ridge on Dixie Drive used to be located. So it already had apartments on it before, but it's zoned R65. So they're requesting to rezone it back to R75A. Well, not back because I don't know if
The usage.
Yes, sir.
The prior usage was R75A.
Yes, so the prior usage was R75A, and so they're just wanting to rezone it so that they can rebuild apartments there. And the across the street from it is also zoned for apartments, which is where they're going to build some as well. And then right next to it is apartments. So it's a concurrent use with the area.
All right. Are we expecting opposition to that?
I have not heard any, no, sir.
Okay. And both of these came with recommendations from the Planning Commission to approve.
Yes, sir.
Any questions of Thomas of the second rezone request? All right. Thank you, Thomas. Next item is the BARF services for Arista Aviation. Chief Davis, I believe this is just the renewal of an annual agreement, correct?
That's correct. It's the same one we've done every year. No changes have been made.
Yep. So it's just a requirement to get
Their contract.
their contracts with the Department of Defense and various other agencies. All right. Any questions of Chief Davis on the contract? I mean, on the ARF agreement. All right. Next item is the request to execute a contract for Covington Fencing out at the Incubator Building. Billy, you want to update us on this? It's related to the Wiregrass Transit operations that we've been talking about in the last several months.
That's correct. The Wiregrass Transit operations, they plan to move in over at the Incubator, Business Incubator, there on 167. And part of the state requirement is that the vans must be in a secured, fenced-in area. And so there's no fence, chain link fencing or any type of secured fencing there. So we're asking permission to be able to to contract and put in fencing for that reason. Now, I know that Jonathan will be working with you all and on the final agreement with the Wiregrass Transit Company or Transit. Wiregrass Transit.
Yeah. Are those cost and the occupancy part of our match?
Yes. Yes. The area was appraised, even the office space and the fenced-in area. We have an appraisal coming to us and them to help us match the difference of whatever the final agreement will take off from the final agreement.
So this will count as part of our
contribution. That's correct. Now, how much, I don't know. I had not seen the appraisal, but I just know that for us to do a fenced-in area, this is the price that we come up with.
Okay.
So,
any questions on this? All right. Next item is also you, Billy, the multi-sport scoreboard, Parks and Rec. It's like a $850 increase in our request.
That's correct. And I apologize for that, but whenever I requested to purchase the scoreboard, We upgraded the scoreboard to multi-sports use. And when we started working on the PO, and I realized that it actually cost more than what I requested. I talked to Leanne, and we felt like it was best to come back to you all and let you get final permission of the adjustment. We still have money to be able to cover that, and plus insurance will probably be covering about 60% of that cost.
All right. Any questions of Billy on this $850 increase? All right, then we've got a request to donate a fire truck, which you've already briefed us on this, right? Any questions on this request to donate a fire truck? I think we know what's going on there. Thank you. So we're going to donate a 1989 E1 Cyclone fire truck to the Coffee County Volunteer Firefighters Association, as discussed last meeting. All right, then we've got an introduction of an ABC license request for Mayo, which I believe is a change in ownership of an existing business. And then we're going to consider nominations to the Board of Equalization, which I've got here in my packet. I'm going to pass this around after we pass it for y'all to sign. But the nominations that the mayor has brought to us are Forrest Warren, Kathleen Farrell, and Christopher Rogers. I believe Forrest Warren currently sits in that seat. So he's currently serving. Our job is simply to pass these nominations along. Is it the State Revenue Commissioner? State Revenue Commissioner will actually make that selection from our 3 recommendations. So this is that's what we're doing tonight, is just passing those on. Any issues with that? I believe we'd already discussed that a couple months ago. All right. Then we've got Mayor's Report, Council Report, and that's it. Any additions or deletions other than the Juneteenth parade permit that we're going to remove? What I'll do is I'll entertain a motion to approve it as submitted with that deduction or deletion. Mayor, you're going to give the prayer in the meeting. All right, back to our work session. We've got a sanitation update from Barry and Jonathan.
So, one, I wanted to thank the council for approving the emergency declaration to allow us to get some outside help. Barry has informed the mayor and the rest of the staff during our meeting today that they are roughly 100% caught up. Now, they still have some stuff to get from the grinding site to the landfill. But it has paid dividends, and I wanted to commend the job that Shannon and his team at Public Works have done to double down on that. And I hope the community has noticed. I hope you have noticed. But I wanted to thank you, because without that declaration and those resources, they were already out there working Saturdays and doing that, but it would have taken months if we would have ever gotten caught up. And I think Barry is going to be able to show you just kind of an illustration of what that looks like, some of the problems. And I think at the last meeting, Councilwoman Rich, you mentioned, getting a plan together. So our HR director, Christina Meisner, and Mr. Mott and Shannon have been working with us to come up with a comprehensive plan on not just whether it's pay adjustments or fee schedules or what we're picking up or equipment, to kind of present that to you. And I think we're going to be prepared to do that during the next work session. Kind of how do we fix this now, but how do we fix it going forward as well? So if you can be patient for us for the next 2 weeks, we'll have that plan together in a good briefing. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mott.
Thanks, Jonathan. We want to give you a quick update of where we were on that. Like Jonathan kind of alluded to, he busted some of my thunder, right? So good news is we've for the last 3 days we have thought that we have got it, like we're there. Then we send the trucks back around one more time, and there's more, and we picked that up. And then we thought Saturday we're done, right? went around Monday. We thought we're done, right? So we picked it all up Monday, and literally as soon as we're driving off, we see people still dragging stuff to the street. So as of today, I think I can officially tell you anything that was on the street is picked up. We still have a pile of debris that has to be taken to the Coffee County landfill. So we'll be using the same trucks that we've been using to pick up to load up the bulk and get it onto the landfill to get everything secured and put away. But I want to give you a quick update of kind of what we've seen, because it was kind of eye-opening. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Shannon, Derek Hooks that runs our sanitation group. Those guys, they have been working 12-hour days from Saturday a week back. They worked Saturday the first weekend. They worked Saturday. They worked Sunday. They worked the whole week. They worked Saturday. They took off Sunday, last past Sunday, and today and yesterday at 12-hour plus days. So through the heat and everything that's been going on, those guys have really done what they had to do on top of their normal jobs to keep this thing rolling. So thank you, Shannon, and all your guys. What was in the field, I want to show you. Just one of the things I want to talk to Emily about is getting this word back out to the public about what's acceptable, not acceptable. So there's a lot of things that we saw people are doing it right, and there's some things that people are not doing right. So I kind of wanted to use this opportunity, if I could, just kind of remind people of what to do. Now, I'll tell you, if it made it to the street, we picked it up. Regardless of what it was, as long as it wasn't hazardous or something like that, we picked it up. Regardless of the size of the tree, we picked it up. So we didn't want to leave anything behind on this case. So on a trash can, what should be included in the trash can? These are some of my notes. I pulled a couple of the flyers. When we get somebody comes into the garbage, pick up their garbage cans, they say, this is what you can do. I just want to remind everybody, place the can with the handle that you push it with away from the street, put it behind the curb in your yard, maintain 4-foot clear distance around that can. So, we run an automated boom truck, so they've got to have room for that arm to reach out, grab the can, and dump it into the garbage truck. Only household garbage. So what you would put in your kitchen garbage bag is what should go in that can. And what will fit inside the can, right? Don't put the lid down and pile 18 bags on top of it. And I'll show you some examples of what we saw. What should not be put in that can, I thought that's just as important as what should be. What should not, like no hazardous materials, no oil, gas, or grease, construction debris, rocks, dirt, car engines, no radiators, you'll be surprised. I'll show you a picture. No flammables, no paint, and anything other than typical household garbage should go in that garbage can. You would think that would be self-explanatory, but we're still having some issues. I pulled this right out of one of our pamphlets that we give the public when they come in and they sign up for garbage. And this is a picture right off the brochure. It says this is the perfect placement. This is the way it should be put at the street the day that your garbage is being picked up. Notice it's nice and clear away from your mailbox and around the telephone pole. Here's some of the things we actually took pictures over the past week. I had the guys as they're out there say, if you're seeing issues, shoot me the picture so I can see what you're seeing. And these are some actual photographs that were taken over the last couple weeks. You can see the one on the left. The issue with that can, why that is a bad example of what to do, is when the automated garbage truck picks it up, those bags are going to go somewhere. They're not necessarily going to stay in the can, because you can imagine the thing starts to tilt as it picks that can up, and they will fall in the street. And the purpose of an automated garbage truck is the truck driver stays in there and can operate the boom without getting out of the truck, so it creates a mess. The middle picture right there, the two cans are right there close together. We cannot pick those up. They need to be separated. Even if you have two cans, give us that clearance so that we can pick them up and dump it in there. And the third picture on the right, of course, just they took 3 garbage cans, put them together, and they made a big pile. That we can't pick that up. And remember our goal here. You want the garbage to go away from your house. We want to pick the garbage up and take it away from your house, but you need to help you get that done and add efficiency. So here's some other examples. The one on the left, another bad example. Don't put your garbage can in the curb in the street. Something else to dodge. You can see the middle picture right there. It's right behind a telephone pole. There's no way that we can reach behind a telephone pole and get your can. And the one on the far right, again, another can that was put in the middle of the street. This is, as I alluded to, no car engines. This was actually happened today, which I told Shannon I was kind of twitch. That's actually the heads off a motor, a radiator, and camshaft, and all the components for building a motor was put inside the can. And when we flagged it, we put a tag on it, say we're not going to pick your can up because it violates these things. They immediately pulled it all out and put it on a pallet and put it on the street, which again, don't put garbage in the street. Put it in your yard. We'll pick it up in your yard. Bulk garbage, so we have the can. We also have bulk garbage. I'm combining for this presentation grinding and county. So just to remind you, grinding is anything organic. So grass clippings, tree limbs, that type of stuff, we take to our city grinding site. And then the county garbage, anything goes to county landfill, which would be bulk items that would normally go in your garbage can, but will not fit. So I put those two together. What should be in what currently in our regulations, what we have, it should be behind the curb. It should be tree limbs less than 6 inches in diameter and no longer than 6 foot in length, neatly stacked up. And please maintain a clear distance. As the boom truck comes to pick up, the knuckle boom comes to pick this up, we don't need it underneath the power line or somewhere we can't reach over there and grab the debris and pick it up for you. What should not be in there? No, not anything there, low-hanging tree limbs, wires. Again, no oil, gas, grease. We had an issue we saw 2 days ago. People had put gas cans full of flammable fluids, and one had used motor oil and some other stuff in it out there for bulk pickup. We can't pick that up. No rocks, dirt, construction debris. If you're remodeling your house, that's construction debris. We're not supposed to pick that up. No paints and no shingles off your house. Here's some pictures of what we've seen in the last week and a half that the guys have sent me and or I took or Shannon took. There is a lot. And this is not over like from storm debris. We picked up all the storm debris. This has been put out since the storm came through. You can see the massive amounts of tree limbs, just construction wood. The one on the far right is mattresses and some furniture. Next slide I had was you can see we're seeing abundance of sofas, a lot of furniture. The middle picture, more debris. And then you can see in the middle, nice neighborhood, nice lawn, and just piles and piles and piles of debris that have been put out there over the last couple of weeks. Next slide on the left, this is one where we had somebody that evicted a person and put all the debris out on the street. That happened a couple weeks back. The middle one, more trash. And then the third one on the right, just to remind people, if you have grass clippings and tree limbs and such, don't put it on the street. Put it in your yard. If you put it in the street, what it does is it's kind of hard to see, but the water has actually washed behind that and it's washed a good bit of those clippings down to our storm drain, which will block our storm drain and cause us further problems. So please don't do that. I did this slide. We pulled it, so just trying to keep up with what we've done. So this is a slide showing kind of so this is bulk garbage, county plus grinding. So this is what we have picked up as far as a load. Now load, remember, in the city trucks is a 24-yard truck. So I converted everything to 24-yard trucks. And you can see back to the first of the year, we've been running about 150, 113, 160, so forth. Been pretty flat through the whole year. June, we started getting behind. You see it was up to 176, and we basically ran out of people and vehicles to pick it up. So June should have been a higher number. And then July, of course, we were catching up with the June's number and also brought in the extra vehicles that had a lot more capacity. And I converted those truckloads to city size truckloads to give you a comparison. So you can see this is, I hope this is not the new norm, but you can see we definitely had, it may reach back into June, but definitely does not reach back into January, February, March. We didn't have those issues back in those months. Path forward, as Jonathan alluded to, there's 3 things we'd like to make sure that we include in this path forward, which are how do we staff, what equipment do we need to make sure we have to do adequate services, and also quantify our services. And actually, if we're talking about bulk, one of the things we're talking about is how much, quantify how much is bulk material. You can see some people put out from, I have a little tree branch that fell and I'm going to set it by the garbage can, and they never have any bulk items, to somebody that has the pictures like I displayed to you earlier. So there's a whole conglomeration and different variants of what we're seeing in the field. But we need to somehow quantify the bulk material so that we can make sure we provide the services that we have agreed to do for the public. So with that, I ran through this pretty quick, but I'll be glad to address any questions you have. And I just want to give you a quick snapshot of kind of what we've done. But the good news, and I'll go back to the first slide, is As of today, everything is out of people's yards. We do have some of it stored on our grinding site, which we will take care of over the next couple of days to get that all to the landfill. So we'll have that all wrapped up hopefully by the end of this week.
All right. Yeah, thank you for that update. Obviously, this will be just the start of a bigger conversation.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the second time, why don't y'all just be thinking on this, be gathering your thoughts, but we need to move on so we can take care of this next item. So we've got a request for an executive session regarding economic development, real estate, and a good name and character item. Anything else? All right, so I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding economic development, real estate, and good name and character.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I expect we'll be going about 25 minutes, and we will come back and adjourn our work session and convene in our regular meeting.
How are you today? Look, if I got any better, people would be looking at me funny. Suspicious that I was up to something.
How you doing? I believe I'll make it. I got this for.
Is he gonna say? He's gonna say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. If you would please stand with me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Got Reverend White to open us up in prayer.
Let us pray. Most gracious, eternal Heavenly Father, we thank you, the Lord, for this opportunity to be able to talk to you. Now, God, we just pray that God continue to smile upon us. pray, God, for every person up on the sound of my weak voice. Bless us all in a very special way. Now, God, keep giving our city favor. We thank you for what you're doing here in Enterprise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May be seated. All right, Council, you should have the agenda that we discussed in the prior work session in front of you. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted with the deletion of the permit request that we'll take up at a later meeting.
I move to approve the agenda submitted with the deletion of the permit request at a later time.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Just let the record show I'll be abstaining due to a conflict with accounts payable B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have privilege of the floor, which is part of the meeting that allows any members of the public that are present to approach the council and take 3 minutes to address any concerns with us. Is there anyone here that wishes to take privilege of the floor? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to staff reports. Do we have any staff reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. We'll now consider we'll hold a public hearing and consider ordinance 070523 regarding the Smith rezone. I now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 070523 providing for the rezone of 0.41 acres of land owned by Shane Smith from B2 Business District to R65 Residential District located at 218 East Lee Street. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this rezone? All right, seeing none, I will now close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 070523.
I move to adopt ordinance 070523.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have a public hearing and consideration of ordinance 070523A regarding the Pecan Grove Development LLC rezone. I now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 070523A providing for the rezone of 3.18 acres of land owned by Pecan Grove Development LLC from R65 Residential District to R75A Residential District located at the southeast intersection of Dixie Drive and Cheyenne Drive. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing no one, I will now close the public hearing and consider a motion to adopt ordinance 070523A.
I move to adopt ordinance 070523A.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 070523A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now move on to new business. Consider authorizing a memorandum of agreement between Arista Aviation and the city on the ARF services. I call for a motion to authorize the fire chief to execute a memorandum of agreement MOA with Arista Aviation Services LLC for aircraft rescue and firefighting, shortened as ARF, emergency services at Enterprise Municipal Airport. The agreement lays out the procedures in the event of a potential or actual emergency on or near the hangar operations of Arista Aviation. The term of the agreement is for 1 year. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the fire chief to execute the memorandum of agreement as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request to execute a contract with Covington Fencing at the Incubator Building. I introduce and call for consideration of request from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to execute a contract with Covington Fencing to install chain link fencing at the Incubator Building to be used by Wiregrass Transit operations. The total cost of the fencing with installation is $13,680. Do I hear a motion?
I move to grant the request from Mr. Powell.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to grant this request from Billy Powell. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider a request to amend a purchase request regarding the multi-sport scoreboard for Parks and Recreation. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to increase the approved price of $9,656 for the damaged scoreboard replacement at Donaldson Park Field 1 by $850 due to a miscalculation in the quote. The multi-sport scoreboard to be purchased from Electromech Scoreboard Company is $10,506. Do I hear a motion?
Move to grant the request from Mr. Powell.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to grant the request from Billy Powell. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request to donate a fire truck to the Coffee County Volunteer Firefighters Association. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Fire Chief Christopher Davis to donate the 1989 E1 Cyclone fire truck designated EFD 102 to the Coffee County Volunteer Firefighters Association. Enterprise Fire Department will remove all enterprise identification prior to the truck's departure. Do I hear a motion?
I move to grant the request from Fire Chief Christopher Davis.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to grant this request from Fire Chief Christopher Davis. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now introduce an ABC license request for Mayo. I introduce a request from Sunflower Smile LLC, DBA Mayo, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 1109 Bowleville Circle, Suite 5, and call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 15, 2023. No action on that tonight. We'll now consider nominations to the County Board of Equalization. I recognize Mayor Cooper, who will present the names of 3 nominees for council's consideration.
Mr. President, I would like to submit the name of Forrest Warren, who is currently already serving on the board, Kathleen Farrell, and Christopher Rogers.
All right, thank you. I'll introduce and call for consideration of the 3 nominations, Forrest Warren, Kathleen Farrell, and Christopher Rogers, to the Coffee County Board of Equalization as required by Section 43.2 Code of Alabama, 1975, for a 4-year term beginning October 1st, 2023. 1 member representing the city will be selected by the state of Alabama from the nominations submitted. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the nominations to the Coffee County Board of Equalization as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the nominations to the Coffee County Board of Equalization as presented. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start by reminding everyone of the importance of hydration. We have all experienced this heat wave and must do our part to ensure we are taking care of ourselves, our coworkers, our families, and our friends. I would again like to recognize the hard-working folks in our public works department. who have been working with the contractor to remove all of the debris around our city. I hope you can see a difference. These crews have been working overtime and are dedicated to maintaining our community. They take pride in the job they do, and we appreciate their efforts. A special thank you to our citizens for your patience during this process. Next week, school start back in our city. All drivers are reminded that it's illegal to pass a school bus when the red light warning lights are on and the stop arm is activated. Please slow down and pay attention to the speed limits in the school zone. And I would just like to add also, we'll have a lot of children in and out, and boys tend to want to play ball. So in turn, when you see a ball, there's a boy. So you have to be very careful if you're driving up and down the street, watching out for our children. Let's all try to have a little extra patience on the roadways as we might encounter a bit more traffic, to be aware that there may be children walking to and from school. As a former educator, I want to wish the teachers and the faculty the best of luck for a successful school year, and to remind them that they are inspiring our future leaders. Who knows? Among them, we may have our next mayor, council members, city leaders, and more. Let us all pour into our youth and encourage them as they start this new year in school. We have a few upcoming events to be added to your calendar. August 18th is the start of the Restaurant Week. August 19th is the Sweet Tea Festival at the Enterprise Civic Center. And just announced Spooky in the Park at Johnny Henderson Family Park. Applications for the Whoville celebrations are being accepted through Main Street. That event will be December 2nd, downtown Enterprise. Speaking of downtown, I will continue to remind everyone that the barricades downtown are there to keep everyone safe. Please do not remove or cross them, and only cross in the designated walk areas. As always, stay up to date with what's happening in Enterprise by following our Facebook page or logging on to our website at enterpriseal.gov. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Rich?
Thank everyone for coming out tonight. I certainly want to just express my appreciation to Shannon, Mr. Roberts, and his staff, that's Public Works, as well as Barry, Jonathan, Christina. I specifically asked for that presentation tonight, and so I appreciate your efforts and everything that you're doing, and I can definitely tell a difference. And so I also want to thank our citizens in advance for being stellar as we continue to work hard to make these improvements for you, to keep your streets as clean as they can possibly be. So thank everybody for coming out tonight.
Mr. Goolsby?
I would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight also, and I'd like to echo what has been said about the trash pickup. The Public Works Department, Shannon Roberts, his crew has done a fantastic job. And Mr. Mott, thank you all for getting the additional help to us that we needed. I'm glad to see that we're caught up on it. And isn't it great to see block walls and steel going up in the air at the new rec center over by Cut's Restaurant? All right, everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Mr. Paget?
I'd also like to echo the sentiments about the cleanup and all of those that were very involved in making that happen. Definitely can tell the difference as we drive around the city. Like to say I'm glad to see our website improvements, and know they're going to continue to happen with the promised app that's coming out soon. And so congratulations to all of those that have been working on that to finally see that go live, and I've been looking for that for a good long time now, so I'm glad to see it. And you all have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you for everyone coming. Thank you for all our citizens online. And back on the website, I've been cruising through that thing. And I'll tell you, if you've missed a meeting, you just go to the bottom of the page, click on it, says you missed a meeting, and all our planning, all the board meetings, they're all online. You can catch all of them. And thank you, Emily, for such a great job for that. Looking forward for the app coming out. Again, thank you to all our city workers. Outstanding job out there. Every time I got a good comment from somebody, I made sure I forward that on and say, hey, they came by and got all my trash and all my stuff picked up. One thing though, please go up the new website, go to the public works side, go where it says sanitation, and there's a list that's been put together that tells you exactly where to put the stuff, what stuff goes out of your yard, not in the street, and what's allowed, what's not allowed in your garbage cans. And please, please get that out to everybody within your neighborhood. It's an outstanding little document of 4 or 5 pages, but it's on the website. It's there for you. Thank you. God bless. Have a great night.
Well, I think y'all covered it all. So everybody have a good evening. We will see y'all back on August 15th. Same time, same place. We're adjourned. Beverly, I think I got everything here.